This is the Shawn1113 podcast show. I am your host, Shawn1113, recording this episode on July 25th, 2025. And if you love this content on the Shawn1113 podcast show, please hit a 5-star rating, comment below, and share this podcast. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening in advance. Now, with that, quite a week. This is the second one I'm doing this week, but it has been quite a week for a lot of things, a lot of nostalgia of the 80s and 90s. The connection there between Malcolm Jamal Warner, Hulk, Ozzy Osbourne, and Hulk Hogan. Wow. Plus, let me recognize one other thing before we do. I'm sure there are older fans out there that knew Connie Francis passed away. Um, she's best known for her song "Who's Sorry Now." Also, Chuck Mangione for jazz, um, with best known for his song "Feels So Good." That goes like this: da 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 da, something like that. But I do want to recognize that Connie Francis and Chuck Mangione are R.I.P. Now let's get to the three people that pretty much have had incredible reaction to. First, Malcolm Jamal Warner. If you think about Malcolm Jamal Warner, he had a long acting career, and the first thing you think about is Steel Hospital, The Cosby Show, and of course you think about Bill Cosby himself, quite different than you did in 19 over 40 years ago in 1984 when the Cosby Show started. In fact, all the people who were in the Cosby Show has had some kind of relative success because because of that show. And Malcolm Jamal Warner had a 40-year career of that. Incredible. I mean, just an amazing career. Also, he had a really good music career. Well, in the world of jazz, I was just talking about Chuck Mangione. Speaking of jazz, but he had a pretty decent jazz career as a bassist, a guitar bassist actually. So he was definitely multi-talented. Malcolm Jamal Warner, and he was actually a good director. One of the best known episodes that I can think of as a director um, um, was was the episode called "The Wretched" on the Cosby Show in the later years, and it was about Vanessa and her friends sneaking off to Baltimore without anybody knowing. Behind his parents' back. I'm sorry, getting so excited, but and and then there was a people thought they were spending the night. They went all the way to Baltimore, Maryland, to see the Wretched and have big fun. And then later there was a fire at a friend's grandmother house and mother house, and then Claire and Cliff found out that they went to they went to Baltimore instead of their house. Thought they were going to New York to see the Retro cons, and then got moved to Baltimore. And if you see that episode, but that was directed by Malcolm Jamal Warner, and of course in the early that Gordon Crittrell shirt that Denise made, and it and it was pretty bad. A lot of it. Give me 1 second. Hold on. There were a lot. Sorry, I'm walking back. There were a lot of months involving the Huxtable clan in the '90s, and it did portray something positive for Black people that you can make it with a family that was well-to-do and had the blessing of being a middle class to upper class family. That's what it portrayed. Cosby Show portrayed there, but Malcolm Jamal Warner, definitely R.I.P. to him and his family, to each their families. Then you have Ozzy Osbourne. Um, I'll tell you what. I don't know much of heavy metal. I don't claim to be. Um, I'll let the people who know a heavy metal much better than I would debate that one forever. Pretty much forever. Its impact. A lot of big because I knew that because later on, because I knowing Ozzy Osbourne is two things: Black Sabbath's song called Iron Man, in which I definitely heard about that, and the other one was the Osbourne reality show, and it was a train wreck. But I wonder which one was first, the Osbourne or Gene Simmons Family Jewels. You tell me. I was like I said, I grew up pretty much with pop metal before heavy metal. To be honest with you, with the when MTV actually played videos. Okay, so Ozzy Osbourne had an impact. Plus the story of the biting the head off of a what turned out to be an actual bat. Oh, that's legendary right there. Man. It feels like it was hardcore as hell. So there was some crazy stuff, to be honest with you. So R.I.P. to Ozzy Osbourne, an actual icon. And he was into wrestling as well. And the Iron Man, and how do I know Iron Man with Black Sabbath? There was a tag team called the Road Warriors in professional wrestling that pretty much um, their entrance song was that, and then their variation in the WWE was was that Iron Man sound by Black Sabbath with Ozzy Osbourne with the lead focus by Osbourne himself. So to be perfectly honest, which perfectly segues to Hulk Hogan. Now, before I even go into this kind of story, I'm going to let you know, as a professional wrestling fan for so many years, um, mine was mainly Mid Atlantic Championship Wrestling when pro wrestling was territorial, like the territories. Mine was Mid Atlantic Championship Wrestling by the Crockett family. So did never even heard of Hulk Hogan until really Rocky 3. And once Rocky 3 was launch Mr. T and Hulk Hogan and that connection is Sylvester alone. Once that happened, though, um, it pretty much launched the career of eventually launched the career of Hulk Hogan. But what really launched it was actually started in the American Wrestling Association or AWA, and Hulk Hogan leaves the AWA for a marketing deal. Vince McMahon sweeps who Vince McMahon Jr. You definitely think differently of him as well as Bill Cosby sweeps in excuse me sweeps in gives Hogan a deal he can't refuse, goes to the WWE, goes to the World Wrestling Federation at that time, and the rest is history. And it launches the WWF's golden era at that time. So it was amazing to watch that golden era, but never even heard it. Like I said, it was WWF at that time. That time was mainly a regional, and then it just it just flew off. And Hogan was the big face of the company at that time, and it's been like that ever since. It has evolved in the into WW ever since then. I can think of four people the impact of professional wrestling with four, you know, the larger than life. I'm not talking about great wrestlers. I'm talking about Hogan, The Undertaker, Nature Boy Ric Flair, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. All four of those people, all four of those wrestlers were larger than life personalities, larger than life, and it transcend into pop culture eventually. So those four right there, I can. If you disagree, go in the comments to that section and see. And who's your Mount Rushmore? Who's your, You can make several Mount Rushmore about professional wrestlers, but those four, Austin, Undertaker, Flair, and Hogan, pretty much will be the first ones I can think of as a longtime wrestling fan. And that's my opinion about that. You can put tag teams too, Road Warriors, Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express, Wild Samoans, what have you, in my opinion. So, but Hogan was a larger than life personality. He had unbelievable charisma to the point. There were two things. Of course, people went crazy when he made his entrance Real American Music. Real American by Rick Derringer. Rick Derringer, by the way, R.I.P. to him because he passed away this year. And the crowd went crazy. It went crazy. Then his second phase was in WCW, and this is how credit Eric Bischoff be given a lot of credit for that because he made an offer they refused. And if longtime WCW fans know, um, that's what really launched the Monday Night Wars. WWE, WWF, then when it changed to WWE, and of course ECWOG, the hardcore stuff, not the WWE version. Later, the hardcore ECW that enhanced the Monday Night Wars and WCW as well. And he had incredible, but Hogan had such incredible charisma. He really did, to the point that when he went to WCW, they had a parade for him. Excuse me. And then when it became, and then had one of the most shocking heel turns maybe in professional wrestling history when he turned heel. He had such charisma even as a heel, along with Kevin Nash and the late Scott Hall, and Hogan's presence enhanced the NW to become the NWO, but Hogan enhanced that being a heel was being a heel. He made heels become he made heels become cool. Nash, Hall, and Hogan as the NWO was definitely made being a heel being cool. So, so on both sides of the fence, babyface and heel, he made it cool. He made it acceptable for mainstream culture to come in, and he did it twice. And Hogan did it twice. That's the amazing impact of Hulk Hogan. Now, in the previous years, not so much, but the good far outweighed the bad. To be honest with you, on that, he wasn't the best person. No, you can make a case for that. But then you can make a case for any other human being born on the face of this earth and born on the face of God's earth. Excuse me. Just got up early in the morning, but the good pretty much outweigh the bad. To be honest with you, when you tip the balance of the scale, and I'll tell you, like I said, the impact will never be forgotten by anybody. But let's don't forget the Undertaker's impact, Ric Flair's impact, and Stone Cold's impact as well. When it comes to larger than life personality, those are the four right there. And certainly Hulk Hogan is definitely one of those people, and always will be one of those people that will have that larger than life impact on professional wrestling, but pop culture as well. So those four men: Undertaker, Austin, Flair, and Hogan. And with that, R.I.P. Hulkster. Now, with that, that is Shawn1113 podcast show for July 25th, 2025. And again, I repeat this. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. And if you like what we do on the Shawn1113 podcast show, comment, hit a 5-star rating, and share this podcast. Again, thank you so much. God bless you. Please stay encouraged no matter what. and live your life as normal as possible in an abnormal world. Thank you for listening to the Shawn 1113 podcast show.